Hey, it's guys, welcome back to the Sports Stuff video. Today, we are talking about the Minnesota Vikings and my offseason plan to turn JJ McCarthy into a franchise quarterback and get this roster and team back to a 14-win season, number one seed level that they were under Sam Darnold. So if you guys do enjoy, please like, comment, subscribe. Let's get into it. So no big coaching changes. Brian Flores did not get another job elsewhere in the NFL. Shocker. I just don't think it's going to happen due to his lawsuit against the NFL and the Miami Dolphins. I just don't think it's going to happen until that's settled. Whether it's he wins, he loses, they settle out of court. Until something like that happens, I just don't see him getting a job. Now, DeMeco Ryans was different. DeMeco Ryans was sort of similar. He sued the Houston Texans. They settled out of court, and 8 years later, he was hired there as their head coach. So I just don't see him getting a head coaching job while it's still in process of the lawsuit's still in process of going through. So they'll have him for a few more years, in my opinion, until that goes through. Offensively, nothing changes. They just kind of are going to run it back because they do have a good team, but they just got to get better on the edges. Starting off, cuts and or trades, we're at negative $43 million. So we got a lot of room to make up. Next year, positive 59. The year after, positive 204. It's a good thing there is light at the end of the tunnel, but we got to open up as much cap space as possible for the now to try and get back into that NFC North contention. First cut we're going to be doing is Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones, don't know why it's not showing up his stats. So, skip over that, I guess. I don't know why it doesn't show his stats. Not the same guy it was even 2 years ago. He's definitely slowed down due to age and just constant hits on his body. I can't rely on him to be the lead back anymore. He's definitely more of that tandem back in this part of his career. And I just don't think the Minnesota Vikings can afford that. Saving $7.2 million in cap space. I just don't think they can afford having a backup making $7 million. I just don't think it's happening. Free agent class and the draft is loaded at running back, so I just don't see them, one, keeping a 32-year-old running back who is degrading, and two, drafting a running back and having him as a backup. I just don't see it happening, so we're going to cut him, save $7 million, and need to get more guys on JJ McCarthy's timeline, whether it is JJ McCarthy is the quarterback in 2 years, but this is that young quarterback timeline. In 2 years, Aaron Jones will be 34. Just don't see him in the NFL at 34 years old. So I do think we need to get younger, get more experience, and better at certain positions, and running back is one of those positions. So in a year or two, when either JJ has developed to a good level or they replace him with another quarterback, they have another running back who can really just carry that offense while they're developing. The restructures, we're going to restructure Jonathan Grenard, their star edge rusher, restructure him, save $13 million in cap space. Byron Murphy, they signed him to an extension last year to return as their corner. I'm going to restructure him, save $11.3 million. Justin Jefferson, honestly, one of the best wide receivers in football. We're going to restructure him and save $18 million in cap space. Then we're going to restructure Andrew Van Ginkel as well, save $11.4 million. So the two edge rushers, Byron Murphy, their corner, and their star wide receiver, we're going to restructure all four of those guys. I don't see them being off this team in 2 or 3 years. We restructure them, open up $53.5 million, and we are very happy with that number. That's a good number to enter free agency because now we are positive $19 million. And that's before we do any extensions, any re-signings, positive $19 million. That's a number I can work with. So the first re-signing or extension I'm going to do is Brian O'Neill, their star right tackle. This will be an extension. He's going to be on the roster anyway. This last year, he had 81 PFF grade, 76 pass blocking, 85 run blocking, 6 penalties, and 2 sacks. He is the true veteran on this offense. The entire offensive line outside of Brian O'Neill in the last 5 or 6 years has been rotated over. I do think we want to keep him as that franchise legend. He's been a stable top 10 right tackle for at least 8 or 9 years now. Best lineman on the team last season. I do want to lower his cap hit to save some money, though, so we're going to restructure his contract, but we're actually going to extend him because he's only on a 1-year deal remaining with the team, and I want to get him signed long-term. So here's what I do with this contract. Currently, he's on a 1-year, $23 million deal with no guaranteed money on his deal. So what we're going to do is give him a 4-year extension, a 4-year, $77 million extension, $47 million guaranteed at 61%. So as you can see, he makes $23 million against the cap next year. We're going to lower that down to 11.2 and fully guarantee next year. Then give him a 3-year extension after that, where it's guaranteed 15 in 2027, guaranteed 21 in 2028. So by the time he's 34, 35 years old in 2029, he'll get back to that $23 million cap hit. But I think all he really cares about at this point of his career is guaranteed money. Because once you're this aged, this much of a veteran, and you don't want to leave, you're just going to take whatever contract they offer that you think pays you fairly. So about $47 million in guarantees, That's pretty good. You also save $12 million in cap space, going from $23.2 million cap hit down to $11.2, so $12 million saved. So that's a great deal for Brian O'Neill. We get our star right tackle back and extended for the next 4 years. No worries, no ideas that he might be leaving, but a $30 million signing bonus to add on to that extension, I think it's worth it. Bring him back, add a void year to spread that money out a little bit more, and I would call that a home run hit. Next, we have Jalen Redmond. Again, I don't know why it's not showing his stats. Okay, we'll skip over Jalen Redmond. Jalen Redmond had a really good year. He definitely earned a starting job last offseason, and with the year that he just had, absolutely I want Jalen Redmond for the long term. Great run defender. He gets after the quarterback. We are going to restricted free agent tender him for $1 million and maybe work out an extension after we tender him. But at minimum, for 2026, we'll get paid Jalen Redmond $1 million. And in 2027, once we extend him, we can talk about an actual number. But we're not going to worry about that right now. Just going to tender him. It's an absolute no-brainer. He's a starter on the defensive line. He absolutely proved this year he can handle being a starter. And he's 27 years old. He's ready to win, ready to play right now. Then entering free agency with that extension and restructure of Brian O'Neill's contract, we opened up another $12 million. So now we are at positive $30.9 million in cap space, and that's something I can work with. I can really work with $30 million. So the first signing I'm going to be doing is Kenny Pickett to be my backup quarterback. Kenny Pickett this last year had 188 yards, 1 touchdown, and 2 interceptions. Get a young, experienced backup quarterback. You know, he started his first 3 years in the NFL, goes to the Philadelphia Eagles, backs up Jalen Hurts the entire year, goes to Cleveland, gets injured, doesn't really earn the starting job due to his injury, goes to Las Vegas, and because Pete Carroll likes to play favorites, he played Geno Smith the entire year. So lots of experience, definitely deserving of a shot, and I do think he can get that Daniel Jones, Sam Darnold treatment under Kevin O'Connell. Let him sit for a year, and if JJ McCarthy really struggles, you have Kenny Pickett, who you know can play quarterback in the NFL. And can play very similar to what JJ does, but obviously to a more experienced level. It's an opportunity for him to potentially play in 2026. You know, not a lot of backup jobs in the NFL have the upside to be a starter if stuff goes wrong. And I think Minnesota's a spot for him, man. You have Justin Jefferson, you have Jordan Addison, you have TJ Hawkinson, you have a solid offensive line. The run game will get to improve through the draft. I think it's absolutely worth it for Kenny Pickett to come to Minnesota. And I think it actually, honestly, probably is a spot he needs to land. Like, get under Kevin O'Connell, get that Daniel Jones, Sam Darnold 1-year treatment underneath him, and go somewhere else next year. And now you can have that pedigree of, hey, one of the best offensive play callers in football chose me and coached me up for a year. Then you can go and do that 1-year stopgap starter elsewhere and make a big crap ton of money. So Kenny Pickett, 1 year, $3 million. I think it's absolutely worth it. Next is going to be Isaiah Pacheco, running back from the Kansas City Chiefs. Last year, he had 462 rushing yards, 1 touchdown, 3.9 yards per carry, with 101 receiving yards and 1 receiving touchdown. ACL has slowed him down immensely. That ACL tear 2 years ago, honestly, probably ruined his career, because this was someone that was averaging 800, 900 yards a year, 8 or 9 touchdowns, very physical runner, and just that ACL tear tore any faith down in his long-term career. And Casey has shown no faith in his long-term health or career. His hard running, I think Kevin O'Connell would love. You know, Aaron Jones, Jordan Mason, Isaiah Pacheco fits right into that kind of mold of a running back. So he's younger, has higher upside than Aaron Jones, and you can draft someone to kind of pair with him for the future. So we're giving him a 2-year, $9 million deal, $4.5 million guaranteed at 50% guaranteed. So good number. At most, it's $5.5 million, but if he doesn't really work out after the first year, you cut him, save $4.5 million in 2027 cap space. But at worst, you have a good running back coming off his rookie deal who just unfortunately tore his ACL, and maybe I think new scenery would be good for Isaiah Pacheco, because the Chiefs, you know, this entire last year were absolutely 1 foot in, 1 foot out of Isaiah Pacheco, and they just didn't want to give him any carries. So I want to get him into the Minnesota Vikings room and see what he can turn into. Next, I want to sign, it's Leo Chenal, Isaiah Pacheco's teammate. Leo Chenal last year had 31 tackles, 3 sacks, 0 forced fumbles, 24 run stops, 11 pressures, and 1 interception. He is a solid all-around linebacker, solid at pass coverage, solid at run defense, good tackler. He stops runners at the point of contact. The minute his arms wrap around a running back, they're not getting outside of his grasp. Wraps up pass catches as well very effectively. I also see the Chiefs re-signing him. He seems like one of those guys where you appreciate the 4 years he did for you, but you absolutely do not extend him because he's a replaceable level for them. And they got to worry about their cap space, the second era of their franchise under Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid, because they're like -50, -60 million in the cap. I just don't see Leo Chenal being able to re-sign with the Kansas City Chiefs. So he's going to walk, and we're going to sign him to be our starter on a 2-year, $11 million deal, $6 million guaranteed at 54%. So it kind of gives him a chance, like, hey, Ivan Pace, I just don't think this team really believes in Ivan Pace. He did not really play last year. They played Eric Wilson and Blake Cashman over him. So Blake Cashman, Leo Chenal, that would be your starters going into next season when it comes to veterans. And I think it's a pretty solid one. Leo Chenal, very athletic, good run stopper. Blake Cashman, good run stopper, more pass coverage guy though, but definitely a good run stopper. That would be a hard defense to run up against, especially with the Brian Flores-led team. Last signing I want to talk about is Geno Stone. I want to sign Geno Stone to be my free safety post Harrison Smith. Geno Stone had 79 tackles, 2 interceptions, 25 run stops, 2 sacks, and 11 pressures. He's a ball-hawking safety, and he's been a safety valve recently. This dude caps off really big plays. He has good speed. He has good instincts, good hands. He does jump the ball sometimes too much that can lead to big plays, but I think with the Minnesota Vikings, they have that experience with Harrison Smith having a ball-hawking free safety. They can get the most out of Geno Smith. After he had great years in Baltimore, great years in Cincinnati, he can now come to Minnesota and kind of come to a defense that's built for a ball-hawking free safety. He could be a better run defender. That's where Harrison Smith always made a lot of money from. It was his run defense. But again, I want to see him in this system, see what Brian Flores can do with Geno Smith, and kind of just immediately replace what Harrison Smith brought to the team. So we're going to give him a 2-year, $16 million deal, $7.5 million guaranteed at $4.6 million guaranteed. I don't see Geno getting more than $7 or $8 million a year, and probably on a 2 or 3 year deal. This gives him a chance, though, to be a true starter for a Brian Flores-led defense, and he gets $5.5 million guaranteed this year. Next year, he has a chance of making $10.5, but more than likely, again, if it doesn't play well, they can always just cut him, and then they save $8.5 million in cap space. But I think Geno Smith is absolutely good enough to play out the full term of that contract, because I expect him to immediately replace Harrison Smith and not a lot of changeover from the performance of the free safety position. Some other signings, Jerome Baker, solid veteran linebacker, good run stopper, 1 year, $2 million. Ahkello Witherspoon, he plays nickel, he plays boundary corner. This is a versatile dude for a lot of different looks, 1 year, $2 million. And Zamir White, pass catching, pass blocking running back from the Las Vegas Raiders. He kind of pairs nicely opposite of Isaiah Pacheco and Jordan Mason. They're more downhill physical runners. Zamir White is more shifty, make guys miss in the open field type of running back. And he can be a pass catcher. So just something a little different than what's already in the room. Then entering the draft, you're at positive $14 million in cap space in 2026. It's a good number. You want about $7 to $12 million in cap space when you go into the draft, because you can sign on your draft picks. So we got about that number. In 2027, just do a few more restructures, and you can open up all that cap space back up. So we're saying a good, healthy number entering the draft. And here's what I decided to do in the NFL draft. At round 1, pick 18, I'm going to grab CJ Allen, the linebacker from Georgia. I'm going to reach just slightly. He's definitely more that 20 to 30 range. But at number 18, I don't care. We need a star linebacker for the future. He's an athletic linebacker. I think he would actually end up starting day 1 over Leo Chenal or Blake Cashman. Whatever one you want to pick would be the starter opposite of him. I do think he'd win that battle. He attacks running lanes with intent to hurt. He is constantly shoulder down, hunting for contact. And I think that's awesome in a linebacker. He's a technique tackler, wraps up runners, wraps up receivers, drops into the ground, does what he needs to do. And a lot of other scouts are saying that he's not quite to the level of these two guys, but he's in the same mold of Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah and Jahad Campbell. Great tacklers, great run defense guys, and just people that the running backs do not get past. Great speed. So if he's anything like Jahad Campbell and JOK, I am all in and grabbing him at number 18 to be the anchor point in this defense for the next 5 or 6 years. Then in round 2, number 49, I'm going to grab guard Emmanuel Pregnon from Oregon. In my opinion, he's a second guard in this class right after Iovani from Penn State. He could easily be a first rounder, so if we can get him at number 49, that's a great steal. Great frame, great in every facet of the game. He's a big reason Dante Moore in that run game had great success this past year at Oregon. Leads the run game at the second level, so you can run most of your plays behind him and feel comfortable. Pulls were toward his side, so like when guards would pull over, it was not him going over. They would lean as he was the initial blocker, and they pulled the other guard with them. So maybe they were trying to cover up his speed. But redshirt senior can step in and start right away. Bolster this right side of the offensive line if Will Freeze continues to struggle. You know, he had 2 good years in Indianapolis, lands a big deal with Minnesota, immediately stinks it up in year 1. He immediately stinks it up in year 1, so you definitely have a little bit of worry with that big deal you just signed him to. So Emmanuel Pregnon definitely is the bolster for the future of the offensive line, because at right guard, you would then have Will Fries and Emmanuel Pregnon. You drafted Donovan Jackson last year or the year before to be your left guard, so you definitely feel comfortable that your left guard for the future is good. This is now improving your right guard of the future. Then in round 3, number 82, I'm going to grab Genesis Smith from Arizona. Great size, great strength. He's played free safety and strong safety, so it kind of bolsters up both behind Josh Metellus and Geno Smith. Solid hitter. He's always attacking through the catch as well. He's having his arm in the pocket of the receiver and trying to strip the ball out and get that pass defended. So I love it. Paired with Metellus, I think they can both show different looks at an elite level. And this is kind of like a long-term projection for Genesis Smith to be that free safety. At worst, you just have 3 good safeties who can all rotate around. And I think Genesis Smith might be able to play a little bit of sub linebacker, but at worst, really good safety, that a prospect that I think the Minnesota Vikings need to hit on is that safety of the future, because this defense has been relying on good safeties for 14 years. Then in round 3, number 97, I'm grabbing Malik Muhammad, the corner from Texas. Malik, he's 6 foot, 188. He's on the thinner side, but it doesn't really let him bring him down in the run game. He's 21 years old, 2 interceptions last year. He's solid in man and zone coverage, but zone coverage he definitely feels the most comfortable because he can kind of roam a little bit more, let his instincts take over. He can rotate out of zone defense into run defense with ease. It gives some breathing room as well on this very thin cornerback room. You know, you only have like 3 guys that are currently on roster next year. I added Akello Witherspoon, but now Malik Muhammad adds another young guy to kind of you genuinely believe in could be a starter in the future. Then in round 5, 161, I'm going to grab wide receiver Chase Roberts from BYU. He's 6'4", 210, 15 yards per reception with 6 touchdowns this last year. Consistently, he has 800 yards the last 2 years and 15 touchdowns the last 3. Red zone threat for the offense. Great jump ball ability. Again, 6'4", 210. You're going to lose Jalen Naylor to free agency. So this is kind of bolstering that slot room where you have Tate Felton. This kind of just adds another body into that room. He is a bigger body at 6'4", so I do think it adds something that's different for this wide receiver core. Then in round 6, 195, I'm going to grab running back Kalen Black from Indiana. He got better against best competition. His last 6 games, including the playoff runs in the national championship, was definitely his best games overall. This season, he had an average of 10 carries a game and 60 yards a game. So that's great production, about 6 yards a carry, 10 touchdowns total. Physical downhill runner. KOC, Kevin O'Connell, seems to like the mold of that physical downhill running back, whether it's Aaron Jones or Jordan Mason. So I think you grab Isaiah Pacheco to be the starter right away. You draft Kalen Black to be the guy in the future. And that's your running back room of those physical downhill running backs. Then in round 6, number 197, at corner, I'm going to grab Andre Fuller. You guys know, I just talked about Andre Fuller in my last video. He's 6'2", 202, very good corner, very high production corner as well. Toledo as well has produced a lot of really good corners and safety prospects the last couple of years, so good on Toledo. He had 12 forced incompletions last year, which was 16th in all of college football. He attacks the ball midair, and he does everything you want a corner to do. Good at shading receivers, has very long arms, and constantly tries to get his hand in the way of passing lanes. So I'm willing to draft him in the 6th round and see what he has in him. Then in round 6, number 202, I'm going to grab Caleb Douglas from Texas Tech. Great frame, great boundary receiver as well. To be that Jordan Addison replacement after the season, because Jordan Addison is a free agent after the season. 6'4", 205, big body, another guy to add to this room. He's more of a deep threat than he is a jump ball receiver. So while Chase Roberts is more jump ball, Caleb Douglas beats people more with his deep threat ability, his route running, his speed, his hands. 1,700 yards last year, 15 yards per reception. Over the last 2 years, he has 1,700 yards, 15 yards per reception, and 13 touchdowns. So that's great. That's definitely someone I would want in the 6th round. High production out of Texas Tech. Brandon Sorsby throwing him that ball. Not Brandon Sorsby. Oh my gosh. Caleb Douglas, high production. And in the 6th round, someone that can produce like that at a premier school that went on a really good run this year and showed out against some of the best competition. I'm willing to grab that in the 6th round, take a shot on him. Then in round 7, number 234, I'm going to grab linebacker Carson Scherer from Iowa. Scherer, he does struggle with pass coverage, but he allowed 32 of 40 receptions this last year. But he's a solid run defender, 6'2", 235. He's a rotation guy, special teamer. He has good vision in the run game, so maybe on kickoffs, he'd have good vision to try to find the guy that has the ball and just tackle him. So Carson Scherer is going to be my guy in the 7th round as just a special teamer. Then at 240, Anthony Smith, the wide receiver from East Carolina. He's 6'3", 189. He's definitely more of a thin possession receiver, kind of like Jordan Addison is right now as a possession guy. It pairs well with Caleb Douglas' speed and Chase Roberts' jump ball ability. This year he had 11 deep catches, 486 deep yards, which was all top 25 in college football. He has 1,000 yards this last year, 16.5 yards per reception, and 7 touchdowns. It's a shot in the dark deep threat who is also a good route runner. But I think in the NFL, I don't know if that speed's going to translate really well for Anthony Smith. So I see him more as that 8 to 12 yard range possession receiver who maybe can crack off a 30-yard catch. But in the 7th round, I'm willing to take a shot on a dude like Anthony Smith. So entering the 2026 NFL season, then this would be my projected depth chart. At quarterback, you have JJ McCarthy, you have Kenny Pickett, you have Max Brosmer. I'm keeping Max Brosmer as that 3rd emergency quarterback. No reason to move on from him to be that 3rd emergency. But Kenny's giving me the primary backup. And if JJ struggles, if JJ isn't ready to play, if he sucks it up, Kenny Pickett can take over. But hopefully JJ can kind of turn on his brain and become a good quarterback. Then at running back, you have Jordan Mason, Isaiah Pacheco as your 2 starters, with Kalen Black as a young guy and Zamir White as that pass catcher 3rd down guy. In tight ends, you got TJ Hawkinson, Josh Oliver, Ben Urisic. Nothing new added. I want to run back the tight end room. At wide receiver, lots of changeover. I'm going to grab Justin Jefferson, Ty Felton, Jordan Addison as the starters, with backups of Caleb Douglas, Miles Price, Chase Roberts, and Anthony Smith. So you're really relying on a lot of young guys, a lot of rookies. But it's one of those like, hey, we got to get cheaper. We got to get better at the wide receiver position. Instead of spending, $5 million on re-signing Jalen Naylor, let's just try and draft multiple big body, heavy set receivers that all do different things really well. Then the offensive line, you got Christian Darrisaw, Donovan Jackson, Ryan Kelly, Will Fries, and Brian O'Neill. So I would not start Emmanuel Pregnon if he isn't ready to start. I'm willing to let him sit for a year and just you have the guy for the future. But Blake Brandel, Michael Juergens, Emmanuel Pregnon, and Walter Roos are your backups. At D-tackle, Jonathan Allen, Javon Hargrove, Jalen Redmond. Really good D-tackle room. Hopefully they can, kind of get back to prime versions of themselves. For backups, Elijah Williams, Levi Drake Rodriguez, Tyrion Ingram Dawkins. At edge, Jonathan Grenard, Andrew Van Ginkel. Nothing changes at the starter position with Dallas Turner, Chaz Chambliss, and Tyler Batty as backups. At linebacker, though, lots of turnover. Yeah, Blake Cashman is the only returning starter. Leo Chenal, you signed to a 2-year deal. Jerome Baker's a 1-year deal. Then you draft CJ Allen and Carson Scherer. I do think CJ Allen would beat out one of these guys in camp, but I just want to, do it as the veterans would be starting. Now, they run a 3-4-4 defense. They do not run a nickel corner on their base sets. So no nickel corner is going to be listed. So at corner, you got Isaiah Rodgers and Byron Murphy as their starters, with Ahkello Witherspoon, Andre Fuller, and Malik Muhammad as those rotation guys. At safety, Josh Metellus and Geno Stone are your starters, with Jay Ward and Genesis Smith as your backups. So as you can see, my draft class is very heavily shown in the depth chart, right? I mean, when it comes to starters or high-end rotation guys, Andre Fuller, Malik Muhammad, CJ Allen, Caleb Douglas, Chase Roberts, Anthony Smith, all of them could get real playing time, and that's not including Emmanuel Pregnon, who could outright win the right guard position in that battle. So I like it. Is it going to be a 12-13 win team? I don't know. It all depends on JJ McCarthy, but I didn't want to draft a quarterback. I'd rather sign Kenny Pickett to a 1-year deal, and if it doesn't work out this year with JJ McCarthy, you have Kenny Pickett, you ride out the rest of the season, then in 2027, you go all out for a quarterback. After this class, you kind of fill out your depth chart, you add guys in high-end rotation places, and then in 2027, once you can then draft a quarterback, you have 6 wide receivers, your tight ends, your running backs, your offensive line, and a lot of guys on defense in their 2nd and 3rd year. That's what I think is when you go and get a quarterback in 2027. If JJ McCarthy is not the answer. So, if you guys enjoy, please like, comment, subscribe. Let me know in the comments down below what you think of my offseason depth chart. My offseason plan for the Minnesota Vikings. And do you think it works good? How many wins do you think this Vikings team gets? If you did enjoy, please like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys later. Peace and bye.